Hiya buds, and welcome back. Today we are going to be doing something I haven't done in a while, which is draw a speed paint, and I am excited to show you how it turned out. If you saw that flash up on the screen a second ago, that is the sticky note that I drew on at work to make the idea for this little... I've been calling it an icon. I know it's not an icon because it has like a full-on background. I don't know what you would call this other than like a character card. So that's what this is going to be. I'm going to refer to it as a character card, and there will be more to follow because I am doing some character design for a project that is coming up with characters you probably recognize from the original Fazbear's Fright series that I did. And these guys are totally original characters, not animatronics. They are ghost hunters. They are the paranormal punks. I don't know how much you remember about them from the episode if you watched it, but they only appeared once, and I was like, hey, it would be really funny if a bunch of ghost hunters showed up at this haunted location where there's people running around in animatronic suits. So that is how they came to be. It was just a haha, this would be really funny if, and I ended up really liking the characters. Here in the background, I'm just working on what kind of shapes that I want and the lighting. I'm just sort of blocking things in to see what I can get to work and give the hint of, hey, we're on a boat. We're on a spooky boat with spooky green lighting and cracked windows that you don't even see in the final result because I end up putting a bunch of filters over it and hiding a bunch of it. But I still had a lot of fun drawing this background. It kind of reminds me of like the style of Danny Phantom, if any of you have seen that cartoon. I love Danny Phantom as an aside, and it did heavily influence me making the Paranormal Punks to begin with, thinking about the Fentons and also other like ghost hunting shows like Ghost Adventures and all of those. You love to watch them and make fun of them, and they're just fun. And that's kind of what the Paranormal Punks were born from. So today we are working on one of those characters. As I finish up the background here, I can go ahead and read a little bit of what I wrote because I want to introduce you to these characters before this is going to be the next little project that I'm going to work on. I know I don't have a lot of free time, uploads are very slow, but we've put a lot of work into this and I think you guys are going to like it, and I wanted a kind of soft launch way to introduce you once again to the characters. So as the me of the background is attempting to get this started, I'm pulling up my references from the characters. This is my original little sketch I did, and I'm going to read a little bit about Chris. Now, Chris is the leader of the Paranormal Punks. Her full name is Christina Ruth Velliker, which is probably not going to come up anywhere, but I want you to know I gave her a full name. The last name Velliker is actually a word that means the nostalgia that you feel at a used bookstore, and I think that fits her really well. Her parents were fairly wealthy. Her mom inherited some of the fortune from her side of the family, and her father is a botanist. His name is Damien, and he travels frequently to acquire new samples for their greenhouses. Her mother is a historian. Her name is JL, and she has a primary focus on local history. So growing up, Chris was taught about history and activism from a young age. She has a very strong sense of justice and a desire to right social wrongs. And when she learned about like punk history and fashion, it just immediately appealed to her. She began making her own clothes. She began to experiment with her hair and to just try different things with punk style. I did a lot of research on punk history and style and things like that before I started this project, just to integrate some of that into her clothing and her aesthetic. Don't worry, her face is not going to stay that way. I just wanted to block in where things were. And I'm flipping the canvas because always flip your canvas so shapes don't look wonky. Anyway, she was taught a lot about history and activism, and she wants to be a part of change. So when she went to university, she ended up meeting friends who were also punks, Joshua and Anna, who just go by Josh and Anna. One night at the school, when they were working late on a project, they witnessed a local legend. Now, there had been whispers around the school about different ghosts that were around, but they actually saw one, which was the ghost of a departed professor, which appeared in the library and pointed at the bell tower of the school and then vanished. This led Chris to a very big realization. Ghosts were real. And if ghosts are real, what else could be out there? What else is unexplored and unexplained and unknown? Were cryptids real? Were, mythology, is that real? So she gathered her little friends, and off they went. They began to study about the paranormal and went on a few ghost hunts at any haunted place that they could find. So, like the local cemetery, most little towns will do like a haunted, what do you call it? Like a tour. They went on all of those and they just decided to learn more and more. They started spending a lot of time at the library just learning about the legends of their town, and they decided to form a group. At their university, Chris's focus was on business management and digital media. She wanted to be a camera person, so it just kind of worked out perfectly. She was able to start recording their adventures, and they became the Paranormal Punks. They experienced some success from their early videos, because, they'd just take them, post them on YouTube, and they started growing a little bit of a following, and they had pretty good success. Like, they had Chris as the main speaker and also the camera person. Josh and Anna were on camera going into all these haunted places, and they were stumbling on a lot of, let's say, drama. Instead of just ghosts, they were solving people's problems as they went along, and solved a few mysteries, kind of leaning towards Scooby-Doo a little bit. Also, I just want to note that I made her eye makeup into little ghosts because I saw that as a Halloween look one time, and I was like, yeah, Chris would wear that. Absolutely 100%. That's her everyday makeup. What do you mean? I love it so much. Look at their little faces. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So, they got pretty successful with their, we'll just assume it's some sort of off-brand reference to YouTube that they use, and anywhere that they go in town, people know who they are, and they are a little bit infamous because they are either solving problems or apparently causing problems, because again, they are punks, so they do kind of stand against anyone in a position of power that they think is not doing their job correctly. Anything that they think has gone wrong, they're going to speak up about. They're activists pretty much, and they do a lot of community service and stuff like that. So they know a lot of people in their town, and the people in their town have strong opinions about the punks. Let's see. Anyway, so they have some success and they decide to go all in. And Chris at this point has saved up enough money from her other jobs that she decides to purchase a place that they can use as their main base. So they had been working out of her parents' garage, which was, pretty large, good place to start when you are just starting out. But she is able to get a piece of land underneath a train tunnel, like a service station, and they're able to kind of like transform that into their base. So they've got everything they need down there, with a planning room and a storage closet for all of their gadgets. So just when they think everything's working out, Anna decides to continue her research and has to go to a different school to keep going with her major. So she decides to go to a more prestigious school, and she continues to send Josh and Chris updates on anything that she thinks may be haunted, and she forms her own club over there with other people. And anytime that Josh and Chris need some information about the history of a place, or to get contacts with somebody to get permission to explore somewhere, they're still going to reach out to Anna. But now they are down a member, and Josh is the only one on camera because Chris is behind the camera, so they need somebody else to accompany them. So they decide that they are going to make applications to be part of the Paranormal Punks. After all, there are so many unexplained occurrences in the world, and if they're going to solve them, they need a team. And that is the premise of my up-and-coming new roleplay, The Paranormal Punks. Working title. Which, if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. It's going to be a ghost hunting show, but really and truly it's a mystery show. They're going to be stumbling headfirst into some very serious situations, and they're going to have to try to fix it. And I think that's really fun, because I've tried a couple of times to do like a murder mystery kind of thing, and it just got too not dramatic, but it got too difficult to make, because at one point I really wanted to do a murder mystery show where I don't actually know what's going to happen, and we had it working out, and then everything just sort of like fell apart, and it wouldn't work the way I wanted it to. So Paranormal Punks is kind of me taking that idea and mushing it together with a premise that I really like, of these group of stupid ghost hunters keep accidentally stumbling into situations that they shouldn't be related to, and somehow it works out. So that is the loose premise. I am grossly understating the amount of work that has already gone into this. We already have a map made, we already have the skins made, we already have a storyline and multiple locations, and I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. But anyway, I haven't talked a lot about what I'm doing in this. If you've been paying attention to the background here, you are seeing the amount of I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm just going to throw this at the wall and see if it works. Especially with the proportions. I should have used like a more realistic reference, but it turned out okay in the end. Although I totally forgot ignored those stripes that she has on her shirt. They disappear in the final image because I didn't like the way that they fell. Couldn't figure out the way that it worked. But yeah, that is the basic premise, and I think the only other real things to go over are just a couple more personality things. I've already talked about how Chris really likes the paranormal and is really big into studying it, but she also reads a lot of mystery and true crime and anything that is unexplained she's really drawn to. She wants to understand the world and to right the wrongs. And the best way you can do that is to know what's wrong to begin with. So, in her free time, she volunteers to edit videos for nonprofit organizations and helps with social media pages for her local animal shelter. She doesn't really get to go inside the animal shelter because she is allergic to dogs. But she does have a cat whom she adores very much, and she manages to suck it up when she has to take her cat in for vet appointments and stuff, but yeah, so she's not able to be around the dog ghost. Poor Chris, rest in peace. She has had some interesting encounters with the authority figures in her town, not limited to run-ins with anybody who's in charge, and the town sheriff, who thinks she has something to do with whatever's going on at any given point in time, because she is very vocal in town hall meetings and has helped to organize a couple of protests in the past for various problems. She's also very involved in environmental stuff, so she has a lot of different things that she's very passionate about. Now at this point in the recording, I am going through and blocking in colors. I haven't done any shading yet, I just did like a solid gray. I really like drawing with Fire Alpaca, but it doesn't do a great job filling in details. Like, it won't go in the lines, so I have to color it in by hand, and that's what took the longest at this part. And I know I could switch to a different drawing software, but I don't know, I like Fire Alpaca, I'm comfortable in it. You know, you get to using something long enough and you're just accustomed to having to work around the issues. And I just like that it's free. I know there's other free softwares that are pretty good too. I don't know, I like it. So I'm going in, I'm just filling in all of the parts that were difficult. I did a reverse lasso, that way I could grab everything and fill it in with a shading. I didn't really know what I was doing at this point. I wanted to shade the block colors that I had put in, but the further I got into it, the further I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make this work, because I wanted to do like, oh, I'm gonna do just a whole shadow and then I'll go in and pick out what's actually lit up. And then I actually tried that and I hated it. I'd get pretty far into it, right? And I'm like, well, this part would be lit up, and then this part would also be lit up. And then at the end, it just didn't make a difference what I had already highlighted and what I hadn't. And so I ended up not doing that, and I went back to the start with it light and then fill in the shading. I was struggling with that camera in the earlier part of the recording, but I was too busy talking about Chris and her history, so I didn't point it out other than the text that I added to the screen. But cameras are hard, so I pretty much gave up. I was like, well, some of the examples of cameras had a boom mic attached to it, some of them had another tinier camera there, some of them had wires. I was like, I'll just incorporate all those ideas and it'll look close enough. So that's what I ended up with. And I messed around with the shading so much. I think the coloring took longer than anything else because I don't have that much experience with coloring in the digital art, because I don't like using any of the soft brushes. It gets muddy too quickly. I don't understand the colors that much. But if I go full comic book with like just a couple of highlights and lowlights, it didn't want to work right. So now I'm just stalling, and I'm like, well, she's gonna need a flashlight, so I'll just do the flashlight first. I'll play with these different settings that I could do, and I'll just see how that looks. I'll move this around. I even cheated by not drawing her arm. I could have drawn the entire arm, but I didn't. I was like, nope, this flashlight will be going straight on, so that would hide any part of the arm that would be showing anyway. All of this just shows what a mess my process is. My process just went all over the place. But I did have a lot of fun drawing. Part of the reason that I like art is because it's a big puzzle. You have to figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work. And when it doesn't work, you just erase it and you keep going. I don't know why I scribbled over the image there. I don't know what I was doing. But for this part, I hid the background so I could go through a bunch of different overlays. I'm just trying a bunch of stuff and seeing what works. I added some noise to the image and I was like, oh, that look cool. But I think I did this like multiple different ways. I tried different brushes. Like this brush here leaves parts of it sketchy. And I was like, that's a kind of a cool effect. I could use something like that to do the shading. I do not end up keeping it at all. And then I found that cool brush with the words, and I was like, ooh, that's really cool, because they're all nonsense words. And then I realized that I couldn't use that, and that there was nowhere for me to put that. and I didn't need it. And I got upset and sad. Because I had updated my Fire Alpaca to put on my new laptop, and it was the newer version where I haven't actually updated it on my original computer since I downloaded it the first time. So there were a bunch of fun little brushes. But here I am for like the third time, adding shadows back into where I know they would be. For the third time instead of keeping them the other times. I don't know. I could have been talking about the drawing process this whole time, but it would have been a whole lot of me saying, I don't know why I did that. I was just trying stuff to see what happened. And then sometimes the way that I shade hair, that just, it developed from me making Minecraft skins. My whole style developed from making Minecraft skins, and if that isn't the funniest thing, I don't know what else. It's such a cheat. I put a couple of squiggles here, it's fine. It gets really hard to talk to fill in the void in these places. But yeah, I really enjoyed working on this piece, and I think her expression turned out really good. And that is essentially all that's left, is just adding in texture and lighting and finishing it off. Again, I really didn't go into this with too much of a plan with how I wanted to color it, which is why this section of the video has taken so long. But overall, I'm really pleased with how it turned out. This texture brush that I'm using right now, I will probably use a lot because I really like that scratchy effect. It suits really well for this grungy, abandoned looking place. And here it is where I cover most of what I drew for the background. You don't see it again. So, I mean, that works fine because you don't really need to see the background. The focus should be on the character in the foreground, but I spent a lot of time on it, and that's okay. I even washed out all the coloring I did with the green because I wanted the focus to be on Chris and her green and black and gray aesthetic. I love that color combination. I think it works really well. And she is coming along quite nicely with all of the shadows and the shading. I did something there that I wouldn't normally do with the soft eraser, adding more of a soft gradient instead of the sharp gradient. And normally I wouldn't do that because, again, it makes it, in my mind, seem more muddy. So I did go back and erase it. I just wanted to see what it would look like. And then this is the last part. I'm just adding in the rim lighting. I had messaged a couple people asking for advice on what I should do because I was gonna leave it there, but they told me I should do rim lighting, and I agreed. I thought it would look really nice. And I could have, this is just me getting an idea of what it would look like. So I do go back in here and I change where the shadows are, where the lighting is. I think I probably could have added a whole lot of other highlights. I'm not sure how else I would have done it though, but I thought this part with the belt looked really cool. You can't really see it in the whole image, but I enjoyed it because it really made it spoopy looking. And I went back in and added a little bit more in more subtle places, like here under the jawline and on the lips and the nose. Just adding a little bit of that green color, shading the ghosties. I love the ghosts on the eyes. I want to try that makeup look sometime. I just think it's so cute. It's one of my favorite things I added to her character. Imagine she just has like one set aside white eyeliner pencil just for those ghosts. She does nothing else with it, not even like the white waterline for the eye, just the ghosts. And here I am again with the hair squiggles, just trying to figure it out and make it look passable. I mean, the chunks of the hair don't even really make sense. They're so cartoony, but just the hint of there being hair there is enough, right? Maybe that's what I'll work on next, is trying to make more realistic hair. My style in general is not very realistic. I'd say it leans more towards cartoons with maybe a little bit of realism with like the shapes and stuff, but that's probably about it. And I'm so glad that we already had the icon made. I didn't have to draw that, I just put it on the shirt. I do really like the rim lighting on the camera. Again, that camera gave me so many issues. I don't know how to draw a camera. I looked at so many different reference images and all the cameras are different. Part of me wishes I had drawn the really fuzzy mic thing that goes over the boom mic thing, but anyway, this is how it turned out. And honestly, I'm really happy with it. I think the shading turned out passable. Could have been better, but I think overall it captured what I wanted you to know about the character. So thank you very much for sticking around and watching this speed paint and learning a little bit about Chris, the leader of the paranormal punks, and her little ghosties. And I hope that sometime down the road, when I decide to put down a trailer, y'all will enjoy that too. Alright, I will see you next time. Goodbye.